You're 30. You are standing in the wreckage of a life that was perfect yesterday. Everything you loved, everything that defined your days is gone, vanished. A quiet house, a cold coffee cup, a silence so heavy it rings in your ears. You don't call the police. You don't call a friend. You sit on the floor and watch the dust motes dance in the late afternoon light. You decide right then, you aren't going to heal. You're going to burn. You sign your own death warrant, not with a pen, but with a promise. Nobody sees you leave. Nobody knows that the person who lived in that house died the moment you walked out the door. You're an empty shell moving through the city, invisible. You have no home, you have no schedule, you have no name. You are a ghost inhabiting a city that doesn't care if you live or die. That freedom is the most dangerous weapon you will ever hold. Level 2, the shadow. You're 31. You are learning the topography of your enemy's life. You pick a target. You watch them buy groceries. You watch them kiss their kids. You watch them perform the motions of a life that cost you your own. You learn that evil is mundane. It's not a monster in a movie. It's a man who forgets to lock his car. It's a woman who leaves her blinds open while she works on a laptop. You start to see the rhythm of their routine. You understand that every human life is just a series of patterns, and patterns can be broken. You don't need a gun. You don't need a blade. You need a wrench for their gears. You start small, a phone call that plants a seed of doubt, an email that triggers a hidden fear. You watch the ripple effect from a distance. It's intoxicating. You realize that you have the power to dismantle a man's world without ever touching him. Level 3, the architect. You're 33. You've moved into the periphery. You are a low-level clerk at the firm they use to hide their assets. They walk past you every day. They never look you in the eye. They think you are an NPC in their grand game. They don't know you're the one holding the remote to their demolition. You find the ledger. It's buried just like you were told. You see the names. You see the numbers. You see the sheer, staggering scale of their indifference. They built their fortune on the ruins of people like you. They don't even remember the names of the families they destroyed. You don't feel rage anymore. Rage is for the weak. You feel a cold, precise satisfaction. You begin to feed false information into their accounts. You watch the numbers slide. You see the stress lines forming on their faces during morning meetings. You are the architect of their slow, inevitable decay. And the best part? They're the ones signing the checks that pay for it. Level 4, the Infiltrator. You're 35. You've gained their trust. You are the fixer for their messy problems. They don't know that every mess you fix, you also expand. You learn their insecurities. You learn who is sleeping with who is skimming from the top, who is looking for an exit strategy. One night you're in the office late. The leader, the man who signed the order, is there. He's drinking, talking to his wife on the phone about a summer vacation. You're behind him, typing code that will lock his digital identity out of his bank accounts in 30 minutes. He doesn't turn around. He has no idea his life is ending in the next half hour. You feel a twinge, not guilt, a realization. You are becoming a ghost. You don't know who you are when you aren't destroying someone else. You haven't used your real name in years. You've forgotten what your own voice sounds like. Level 5, the trigger. You're 38. The collapse begins. It's not a single explosion. It's a landslide. The accounts are frozen. The documents go to the press. The authorities arrive at their homes while they're sitting down to dinner. You're in the crowd. You're the bystander. You watch the confusion on their faces, the way they desperately look for someone to blame, someone to beg. They look right at you. You're standing there, hoodie up, face impassive. They see you, but they don't know you. You are the stranger who witnessed their downfall. You go home, not your home, just a room you rented for the month, and you sit in the dark. It's over. You lost everything, and now they have nothing. The balance is restored. You wait for the joy to come. You wait for the weight to lift. It doesn't. You realize that revenge is a cycle. Once you started destroying, you forget how to build. Level 6, the Auditor. You're 41. You're drifting. You start looking for new targets. It's a reflex now. You see a corrupt businessman and you immediately start planning his ruin. You see a politician taking bribes and you identify the path to expose him. You are addicted to the hunt. You're not a person. You're a process. You're a wrecking ball that hasn't found a wall. You meet someone, a woman who lost her job because of a company merger you helped facilitate. You see the look in her eyes, the same look you had when you were 30. You want to help her, but you can't. To help her, you'd have to reveal who you are. You'd have to break your own pattern. You don't. You walk away. You're terrified of being known. Level 7. The Hermit. You're 45. You're living in a different state. You have a job as a night watchman in a warehouse. You don't talk to anyone. You don't own a computer. You've burned the bridges. You've buried the ledgers. You realize you've become a myth, the man who destroyed a corporate dynasty without a trace. You miss the life you had at 30. Not the house. The person. The person who could trust. The person who could laugh without wondering if the sound would give him away.
You sit on a park bench and watch a father playing with his son. You feel a hollow space in your chest, a void that no amount of revenge could ever fill. You traded your soul for a hollow victory. The realization is a slow, steady tide of grief that washes over you day after day. You were the architect of nothing but your own loneliness. Level 8. The Witness. You're 49. You start seeing the patterns again, but this time you don't act. You see a group of teens planning a theft. You see a coworker planning a betrayal. You could stop it. You could destroy it. You could intervene. You watch. You learn that the world is built on these small, ugly human moments. You realize that you weren't the judge, jury, and executioner. You were just a man who couldn't accept the unfairness of the world. And you realize that the world has always been unfair. You were not the hero of this story. You were just a symptom. Level 9. The Ghost of the Ghost. You're 53. You walk into a bookstore. You pick up a book about the history of the company you destroyed. It's a footnote, a scandal that lasted a week before being forgotten by the 24-hour news cycle. Your life's work, the burning, the tearing down, it didn't matter. The world kept spinning, indifferent to your vengeance. That is the most terrifying thing you've ever learned. You sit in a cafe. You order a tea. You look at the people around you. They have their own burdens, their own losses, their own silent wars. You start to see them not as targets, but as peers. You understand that everyone you ever destroyed was just as broken as you were. You were just the one who found a way to externalize your pain. Level 10. The Legacy. You're 57. You're sitting in an old chair on a porch in a small town. You're not planning anything. You're just watching the clouds. You've learned that the only way to win is to walk away from the game entirely. Someone walks up the path. It's a young man. He looks lost. He looks like he's just lost his world. He's looking for someone who understands, someone who knows how to tear the world down. He sees you, and for a second, you see the reflection of yourself at 30. You don't tell him how to get revenge. You don't tell him how to win. You tell him that the world is going to take things from him, and that it's not his fault. You tell him that the only way to survive is to build something that the world can't take away. A sense of self that isn't tied to what you have, but to who you are when you have nothing. You shake his hand. You let him go. You don't try to save him. You just give him a signpost. You turn back to your tea. The sun is setting over the trees. It's beautiful. You don't think about the past anymore. You don't think about the ledger. You don't think about the cracks in the wall. You just breathe. The mission doesn't end when you get what you wanted. It ends when you stop needing to want anything at all. You close your eyes and listen to the birds. The world is spinning, and for the first time in your life, you are finally, completely part of it.